Just a quick disclaimer before we get started. This video is going to heavily feature one of my favorite products, the Python Water Changer. I love these things and I talk about them all the time, but please know that Python is not a sponsor of this video or channel. I bought mine myself, and other than my tanks and fish, it's definitely the best money I've ever spent in this hobby. If you don't already have one, I will link it below. Now on with the video. This week I want to talk about water changes because they're super important. Maybe the most important thing you can do for your tank. And I don't know about you, but I'm always looking to make them easier. Now a few months ago I built an auto water change system for all of my tanks, and it has been awesome. Water changes out overnight while I sleep. But I'm still doing a big manual water change on my 220 gallon display tank at least once a month because it's heavily stocked. Today I'm going to show you how I do it and the equipment that I use to make it faster and easier. My hope is that you can take away some ideas to use on your tank, because unless it's a really small tank, like 10 gallons or less, you really don't want to have to use any buckets. Let's go over to the sink and talk about equipment. The most important thing is this Python water changer. It runs from your sink to your tank and allows you to use your faucet to start a siphon. It's an absolute lifesaver, and I would never own an aquarium without it. The hose that it comes with is 25 feet long, but my tank is farther away than that, so I have a 20-foot extension. You can screw it on to most standard faucets, but I hate having to attach it and reattach it, so I also got these snap connectors. I actually have a second set of snap connectors on here as well, but I'll talk about that later. On the other end is the tube, and I originally had this smaller one, but once I got the 220 and it was a much deeper tank, I invested in this larger one. They come in a bunch of different sizes. So to start off, I just attach the Python to my faucet, and I should point out that I've actually bypassed my regular faucet and created a Python only secondary faucet, but that's just because I'm a crazy person. It's not at all necessary. Then I run the other end to the tank. Then I go back to the faucet and turn on the water. This starts the siphon and creates suction. I then go to the tank and use that suction to give my substrate a quick cleaning. It's strong enough that the waste goes out of the tank and into the sink, but the sand just falls back down. I try to do this quickly because with the faucet running, it's wasting a lot of water. Once I'm done, it brings me to a bit of a crossroads, and there are a few different schools of thought on this. Some people just turn off the faucet and let the water drain via gravity. That's fine, but it goes very slowly. For reference, I'll time how long it takes for me to drain 1 inch of water from this tank via gravity. As you can see, that took a while. You can speed this up by turning the faucet back on, but it's super wasteful. But just to see how much faster it is, let's time this one as well. So this method was a bit faster, but I usually do this a different way, with a pump. The tubing on the end of the Python is pretty standard, so you can use a lot of different pumps for this. And obviously the bigger the pump, the faster the water will drain. My go-to for a long time was an Eco Plus pump from Amazon. I've shown it in videos before. But lately I've been using a bigger pump. And to make this quick, I use a method that's similar to the snap connectors, but this time it's just a set of garden hose disconnects. It allows me to snap off the Python hose and snap on the pump. So for comparison, let's see how long it takes this pump to drain 1 inch of water. Well, that was faster by far. And it allows me to drain the tank halfway in a very short amount of time. Now it's time to fill the tank back up. Step 1 is to add some dechlorinator. I use Chem Safe, but you can use whatever you think is best. Just use the dosing instructions and base it on the total tank volume, not just the water you're changing. Then I take off the pump and put the tube back on. Then at the sink, I get my water to the right temperature and reconnect the hose. This is where that second snap connector comes in. I take the siphon starter part off of the Python because it forces the water through a tiny hole. Bypassing it gives me much better flow. Then I just wait for the tank to fill back up and turn my filters back on. This whole process is much more complicated to explain than it is to actually do. Between the Python and the pump, it goes really quickly. Hopefully this gives you some ideas that you can implement yourself. Thanks for watching, and until next time, have a good one.